Welcome to Module 4, What to Do Should Feedback Backfire. Now look guys, I know we would all in an idealistic world want someone to take the feedback we give them and just run with it. Somehow they would be motivated, inspired, they would already be there wanting to do the change. But that may not always happen. We are humans, and as we've been discussing through this series, is that people have emotional reactions, triggers, and these things, as someone who is giving someone feedback, are some things that you should be aware of. So when you're doing this type of work, remember to think about the 3+ rule. Will be very integral in helping you understand how to move forward in these situations, as well as how to stay grounded. Because should you know and understand what may pop up, you can be better able to prepare for it and understand how to move beyond it. The first rule, which is my favorite, keep it real. What is it that you think I mean by this? We spend our lives running away from the negative, maybe not even understanding it fully of how we can utilize, let's say, negative emotions to motivate us. But in this type of situation, keeping it real means that when something negative pops up, because you give someone feedback, you want to be able to maintain that space so that they understand that the feedback is there to help them, to motivate them, and hopefully inspire them to want to change. Because in the long run, if you take away and you back away from the situation, because this is what usually happens when feedback backfires, we want to run away. We're like, oh, maybe I didn't mean that. You're basically taking away a learning opportunity from a person and helping them become better at their jobs. So keeping it real means that you're like, look, I know that this may be hard for you to understand or maybe even listen to, but I'm here to help you. And I'm here to understand how we can both move forward so that I can do my job better and so can you. The next rule is fight self-doubt. Now this is a natural inclination that most people have. They don't feel like they have much under their control to be able to change. And when it comes to change, I think most of us know that it can be otherwise very difficult, if not almost near impossible. Or at least that's what our minds tell us. So fighting this means actually helping the individual understand what is under their control and either coaching them to understand what's that first small step they can do or helping them evaluate their options. Because in the long run, the self-doubt is just a story. And if we can move beyond it and we can help someone else also do that, it's to everyone's benefit. This rule is all about bifurcation, which literally means how to separate things side by side. When I talk about avoid praising ability, I want you to understand that you don't necessarily want to praise who the person is, but you want to praise the product or the work that they do. Here's an example. Imagine there's a creative director at your startup. This creative director is really brilliant at producing ideas. They can just like shoot them out as if nothing. But they're really deficient or horrible at the procedural aspect of a business. They don't stay on top of emails. They don't return work calls. For some reason, their Google Calendar is always in a flux. And when they're in meetings, they're not really there. So these are all procedural aspects that are their blind spots. And you giving them feedback is basically attempting to help them understand how to come to their blind spot in a very proactive manner so that they can be collaborative in moving forward, especially if it affects you. Because imagine if you were someone under that creative director and this boss of yours, unfortunately, wasn't on top of all of these procedural things. It may make your job a living hell. And so, for you, the managing up component would be how to give him that type of feedback so that they actually listen. And you would want to avoid praising them as a creative director insofar as that may create some sort of cognitive dissonance later on when you do give them feedback. So remember that, because there is a difference. And you want to make sure that you're not praising them, but you're praising their work product. And lastly, it's the rule 3. Actually, the plus. which is positivity counts. In the long run, positive smile, positive disposition, positive vibes, those all things are things that people really can resonate with. And it brings these type of conversations that are very sensitive, sometimes high stakes, back down, so that in the long run you guys can have a space to talk about difficult things. So remember that these three rules can be your saving grace, and they can be very helpful should situations arise where the feedback you give, unfortunately, backfires.